In a previous video, I looked at a random chess position as a way to practice everyday calculation, and I think part of getting better is really being honest with yourself and really sitting down and sort of analysing almost schematically what you did right and what you did wrong in order to try and trace sort of patterns in analysis. So this position is white to play. If you've not seen that previous video, you could watch that one. It sort of goes through this position in a bit more detail, but I will go through this position so you don't have to flick back and watch that video. So if you want to pause the video now and look at this position with white to play, I'm going to go ahead and show you the position and the analysis right now, and I'm going to talk about what I'm talking about really in this video, which is a schematic analysis of analysing exactly what you get right and what you get wrong. And I think doing this is sort of a diagnostic tool to help you improve calculation and to fix weaknesses. So let's look at this position then. So I've talked long enough, I've given you time to pause the video. And in this position with white to play, it's Alekhine Rete, 1922. There are four immediate candidate moves which jumped into my head when I was looking at this position from the Alekhine book. And to be fair, I was looking at this position in the back of a taxi on the way to a pub, so it wasn't like a real game situation where I set up to the board or anything. But anyway, of the four candidate moves, I would say A was the bishop being trapped, bishop takes. The next one would be B, take the rook. The next one would be queen checks. I'm calling this one C, as a similar candidate move. And D would be the rook lift idea. And what I did then is sort of analyse the position as far as I could, and then looked at the comments from Alekhine, and then I looked at the engine analysis, and I mapped schematically what I got right and what I got wrong. So the first thing I looked at was bishop takes, pawn takes, queen takes, and I assessed this as better for black. Obviously, it's a piece up. Right, two pawns for the piece, but not enough compensation, better for black. So that would be correct. But what I missed in the original analysis was if takes, then we have this move, queen takes on A8, and after bishop B7 we have rook A B1, and black's best line is to go down into the exchange. So that is what I missed. So I'll show you what I mean by the schematic map in a minute. But that was A, that's what I call A. What I call B was this move, queen takes, but then queen is trapped after bishop B7, and I don't think I looked at this, or maybe if I did, I was immediately dismissing it subconsciously because the bishop's trapped. Right, so the bishop's going to fall, and this is going to be better, obviously, for black. But in the original video, I mentioned that I didn't see this move. I don't think I did, but it could be a subconscious thing. But anyway, that's candidate move B. Candidate move C, I was quite happy with. It doesn't work because we at least have queen F6 or F6, and it just doesn't. It's just not enough for white. So the queen checks don't work in this position. You could have also queen G5, but there's always queen G6, right? And you can't take the queens off. If you're running away, the bishop's falling. So this was a correct sort of calculation along those lines. Candidate D was rook F3, which is still a decent move, I think, and still quite practical, because if bishop takes, then we do have a sort of winning attack. And in the original analysis, I sort of stopped here, just thinking that this is a winning attack, because after this move you get this in. Threatening mate takes off, check, and then bring the other rook in. I didn't analyse that line far enough. I got to sort of the queen E5 check and thought that's winning for white, but I didn't push the analysis, even though I could. So I've sort of marked that one red. I'll show you my card in a minute that I mark. But what I did miss in this rook F3 line was after rook F3, sorry, black's not compelled to take the bishop, as I said in the original video, and this idea of bishop B7, not with winning the exchange, because there's always a check, involved, but it's still not going to be enough for white. So this is what this looks like in this position, with all the analysis laid out from all the the four potential candidate moves, and the only moves that really matter, the only moves that you really have to consider in the position. And what I've done is I've colour coded those with what I got correct and what I got incorrect, and I've colour coded them green and obviously red to represent that. And then what I can do, or what you can do over time, is if you can look at every position and sort of schematically analyse where you're going wrong, you can tell whether you are missing wide moves So missing the initial candidates, or is it the second move? Like, that's my problem on this one. With the A candidate, it was A2. A.1 was fine, A.2, there's an issue with that, so I didn't see the idea of the Rook AB1 threat. So that is something that, based on this one position, you can't get much information. I think you have to do multiple positions, maybe 10, 50, maybe up to 30 positions, and then you can start to identify any sort of overall trends in your miscalculations. And that's what I'm going to look at doing over the next couple of weeks. I'm going to get positions, I'm going to analyse them, and then I'm going to look at the solution, and I'm going to schematically analyse particular trends in my calculations and miscalculations. And you have to be honest with yourself, otherwise it's a complete waste of time.